finals finally over, I can talk about what I always want to talk about, and that's Barbie. At first, I was going to make a video on the Barbie movies from early 2000s to now, basically, but I feel like a lot of people have talked about them already, and maybe getting into the nitty-gritty world of Barbie collecting is gonna lose some of you, but I'm hoping nostalgia will get me to some of you. So, crash course in Barbie, basically. She was created in 1959 to fill the gap of dolls targeted toward girls that weren't like paper dolls or rag dolls. Created by Mattel. Most people know that she's gone through a lot of different phases in face molds, body molds, and styles in general, but specifically in the world of collecting Barbie, there are these things called tiers or labels, depending on whatever you want to call them, that Mattel makes these dolls in for the collector. Obviously, Playline is a whole other beast. There's technically the black label, but that's more of a general term for collector, just anything other than Playline. There's the pink label of dolls. These are dolls that are just on the shelf for everyone, everywhere. You can find them in Target, or at least you used to. They're intended for adults. There is the silver label, which means that Mattel only made 25,000 or less of the doll, so fairly rare. The last silver label doll we got was in 2016. There's also the gold label, which means that Mattel only made 20,000 of those. The last one of those we got was the Star Wars series of dolls that sort of made R2-D2 and C-3PO and other characters into designer clothing type things. And finally, there's the platinum label, which means there were only 5,000. The last one we got was also in 2016. If you were a Barbie Club member, and this is like official Barbie Club, not like a community Barbie Club or something, you often got certain perks, like immediate access to platinum dolls and things like that. But as you can tell from when the last Barbies of those labels were sold, a lot of that has pretty much just petered out. As far as I can tell, there was no official ending, but collector Barbies are pretty much gone. They were lowering in quality more and more in the past several years, and now we basically have no Barbie Club Platinum label and below. And that would be fine if Playline Barbie had a whole lot to offer, but it kind of doesn't. The average person passing by the collector Barbie community may not know this, but the holiday Barbies of recent years have been garbage, especially this year. We got so many red gowns over and over, and they were so boring and generic. Well, I didn't hate the candy cane one. That's not the point. And then we finally get a gold dress this year. You'd think it'd be beautiful. You'd think it'd be like goddess-like, but it's closer to pea color and has a random plastic belt and a waistline that's like low but not that low. Like the material looks kind of cheap, and the sleeves are doing some weird like half thing. I don't get it. Another thing is Silkstone is dead, essentially. If you don't know what Silkstone is, it's basically like was the epitome of Barbie collecting. Silkstone Barbies had the body type and look of the original Barbie, the very 50s silhouette, the lidded eyes. They were usually very realistic. They didn't put them in like fantasy hair colors and stuff like that. They were usually in like 50s suits and gowns and stuff. Basically, the only difference between Silkstone Barbie and vintage Barbie is that Silkstone Barbie tends to like feel heavier and of higher quality, and their clothes are of higher quality. Like, they're not meant for children at all. They're meant for display mainly. But as of last year, she gone. There are no more in production. So my point that I'm trying to make with all this is that Mattel doesn't seem to want to appeal to their adult demographic anymore. And they don't seem to be handling their children demographic very well either. So I'm wondering if maybe this is the beginning of the end. Because if you don't know, MGA is another toy making company. They are the company that made Bratz, who you may know from your nostalgic early 2000s childhood. You may also remember that Bratz really shook up the toy industry. They kind of gave Barbie a run for her money, and Barbie really didn't know what to do. Mattel made Barbie My Scene, which were very Bratz-like dolls, just a little more Barbie-fied. I think there was even a lawsuit between them that MGA said they were stealing ideas. And I feel like we're in a second version of that era here because MGA is they've been releasing the LOL OMG dolls, which are fashion dolls that have sort of branched off of the LOL surprise dolls. Those really weird looking tiny children dressed in skimpy outfits. Sorry, this is unbiased. And the thing about LOL OMG dolls is that people really like them. They really like the quality. These are dolls that are almost $30, like $27 about, and you're getting a mostly articulated doll. I think they have like bend and snap legs, but close enough. You're getting not one but two outfits. You're getting good quality hair. You're getting very small details like multiple fabric accessories as well as plastic jewelry. And now MGA has also released Rainbow High, which people seem to like just as much as the OMG girls for the same reasons. They have rude eyelashes, they have articulation, they have multiple outfits, they have tights that are actual fabric and not painted onto their legs. You're getting all of this at a slightly higher price than most, like $27 retail, but people are willing to pay that if it's quality, especially if they're adult collectors and also if they're children. And so I'm looking over here at Mattel and being like, what are you guys doing? You're falling asleep at the wheel. You drove Monster High into the ground before finally putting it out of its misery, and you stabbed Ever After High in the back before letting it bleed out. Not that I'm bitter or anything. The Fashionista line was innovative because you did the whole doll evolves. You did multiple body types and expanded the skin color and hair types and face molds, but now you're coasting on that. You've done nothing but shell out more and more of these $10 unarticulated fashionistas that are getting a little repetitive, that aren't like super crazy in their fashion design, which is what you were originally meant to be. Consumers ask again and again for more quality, for more detail, for more emphasis on the fashion and clothes and fabric aspect, and you pump out more Dreamtopia mermaids? You come up with Cave Club? Oh yeah, that'll Cave Club? Bunch of cave teenagers with really ugly outfit designs and really busy color schemes? I don't think that's gonna bring them back, fam. It's just been bad doll after bad doll for the past several years, especially in the collector Barbie department, or as close to collector Barbie as they're willing to go without spending too much money. I hate them all. Meanwhile, MGA is giving people trendy clothes that are with the times, that are textured and layered and have multiple parts to them, and those are on their Playline shelves. The last thing that Mattel gave us that was supposed to be of quality had thin fabric and hollow legs and wasn't particularly pretty. And now it feels like Mattel may be trying to somewhat copy off of MGA with the extra series of dolls. I'm not trying to throw shade, it's what businesses do. They try and hop onto what people are demanding, But I think they're floundering. This feels remarkably like the early 2000s era, where they were desperately trying to do what Bratz were doing, with my scene. And even the movies, the Barbie movies that we know and love, are said to have come from Mattel being desperate to get their consumer base back. It's like, I'm just sad. That's all it is. It's just kind of sucks. And I would just like this time to look back on, or even show people, if no one knows about them, the real quality dolls that Mattel used to make. Some of my favorites include the Hallmark limited edition dolls, not to be confused with hard to find dolls or exclusive dolls. 3 different things. The Hallmark limited edition were like period dolls, and they weren't even like specifically collector. I think these were given to Barbie Club members, but they weren't like super expensive. They're not super hard to find now, but they still had like layers, different types of fabric on them, and whole unique updos. And have one actually. Because I'm a nerd. This is Sweet Valentine Barbie. Do you see? Do you see? Isn't she pretty? And you can't see, but she has really pretty green eyes. So yeah, they made those for different holidays. Like, remember when Mattel made a Fabergé? That's right, like a Fabergé egg. A Fabergé doll with like this opulent, giant, like period dress. And she was China. She was made of China because they really went that hard for us. Fabergé goes that hard. And oh my god, there were also these masquerade gala dolls. These different ones, and they each had like an obvious theme and a little mask, and it's like, look at her. She's got different pieces, but they're all made of fabric. They're not like plastic molded on. Look at her. She's got little individual braid. Look at that tiny individual little braid on her head. Like the Titania Barbie from Midsummer Night's Dream. Those are real wings. Those aren't plastic wings. Those are like netted wings. There's basically the entire Faraway Forest collection. Absolutely gorgeous. Like the king and like the knight from the Crystal Cave guy, he had like a real sword and real armor on. And they all looked distinct. They all had multiple pieces and you wanted to display them. Also, basically anything Bob Mackie designed. If you don't know, he was a big designer for Barbie in like late 90s into some of the early 2000s. And there's even an interview of him online saying that the reason he stopped was because Mattel kept on saying he needed to make them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because they didn't want to spend that much money on like feathers and sequins and stuff, and he couldn't do that. Which just tells you the whole story. Like his couture confection, it's beautiful. Look at it! Look at it! So it's like, even with money, this year's holiday Barbie wouldn't look good. Also, Bob Mackie's holiday Barbies, literally any of them, they were so unique and different from other holiday Barbies we've gotten. Like the 2006 one. Who would have ever thought that black could be a Christmas color? Not me. But he managed to do it. Man, I really want to rank all the holiday Barbies. Also, if you're still not convinced, there's a doll that basically encapsulates everything wrong with modern day collector Barbie. Because Bob Mackie designed this one doll called Lady of the Unicorns. This is her. Absolutely beautiful, right? Like that. The big head and the sparkle. And then just a couple years ago, Mattel made a unicorn goddess doll. So, you know, sort of in the same vein. And this is what they gave us.
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
This is her in all her plastic, barely any fabric, barely airbrushed glory. Compare that to some older Mattel Barbies, like the Enchanted Seasons dolls. which again weren't even like super high-end Barbies. Or during the 90s, they had a bunch of fairy tale dolls out. Princess and the Peas, my favorite. Look at her, she's gorgeous. Like, there was imagination there, and each one was different, but still really, really appealing to a lot of different people. Just any of the dolls of the world, which was this huge series of dolls that just had girls from all over. There was a Portugal, there was an Ireland, there was a Cambodia, there was a Spain. Holland is one of my favorites. Look at her. Once again, this was not one of the highest end dolls of the market, but it still looks like it. There's another quote by Bob Mackie that says, "I am a costume designer. Fashion is never something I set out to do." And that kind of says it all for me. I feel like Mattel needs to take his advice. Like, stop trying to beat MGA at street fashion and Instagram fashion. You can't beat them at their own game. That's obviously what they're strongest at. Start taking some risks. Approach things theatrically. Approach things fantastically. Give me some, like, historical outfits. Or even dolls of different ages. You broke some barriers with your body types, but I haven't seen one doll on the shelf that could be Barbie's parents. Give me some variety. Give me dolls that are $10 as well as dolls that are $30 and $100. Otherwise, you don't deserve the throne, honey. And I realize it might seem weird that I'm so sad about this fall from favor of Mattel, but Barbie has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I've spent a long time existing in the world of Barbie collecting. Not only reminiscing about Barbie movies on the internet, but also going to community Barbie club meetings, hearing about the annual Barbie convention, wanting to go, obviously playing with them when I was younger. My mom made and sold Barbie clothes online for a long time. My sister and I spent a lot of time bonding over Barbie, and we still do. This could be just another small dip in quality, or it could be goodbye. Thank you for watching, if you made it this far, and as always, feel free to drop a comment, unless it's mean, because then I'll cry.